Good morning and welcome to Barbara's Bulletin. I'm your host, Barbara. Today, we're going to dive into a story that's been unfolding in Myanmar, where a devastating earthquake has struck, leaving thousands dead and many more displaced. The magnitude 7.7 quake hit last Friday, and the situation on the ground is still dire. As we bring you this report, I want to acknowledge the complexity of the situation in Myanmar, where a civil war has been raging between the military junta and ethnic militias. It's essential to approach this story with sensitivity and balance, recognizing the humanitarian needs of the people affected by the earthquake, while also acknowledging the political dynamics at play. According to reports, the death toll from the earthquake has surpassed 2,700, although the actual number is believed to be much higher. The disaster has worsened the already dire humanitarian crisis in Myanmar, where millions have been displaced by the ongoing conflict. In a surprising turn of events, the earthquake has also led to a brief easing of diplomatic tensions, with some world leaders reaching out to the ruling junta, led by General Min Aung Hlaing. This comes after 4 years of isolation, following the military's ousting of an elected government and the subsequent brutal crackdown on civilians. However, the situation remains volatile, as evidenced by an incident yesterday where Myanmar's military fired at a Chinese Red Cross convoy carrying earthquake relief supplies. The junta claims that troops fired shots into the air after the convoy failed to stop, despite being signaled to do so. China's foreign ministry has called for all parties to prioritize earthquake relief efforts. It's crucial to note that rebel groups have unilaterally announced a ceasefire to support earthquake relief efforts, while the military has refused to do the same. The UN has condemned recent airstrikes by the junta as completely outrageous and unacceptable. As we continue to follow this developing story, we'll be bringing you updates on the humanitarian response, the diplomatic efforts, and the ongoing conflict in Myanmar. We'll also be examining the implications of this disaster on the region and the world at large. For now, let's take a moment to acknowledge the suffering of the people affected by this earthquake and the ongoing conflict. Our thoughts are with them, and we hope that the international community can come together to provide the necessary support and relief. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we continue to explore the top stories of the day, we're shifting our focus to the world of politics. Yesterday's special elections in Wisconsin and Florida have sent a resounding message to Republicans and President Donald Trump. The results are being seen as a wake-up call for the party, with Democrats rallying against Trump's plans to reduce the federal government and the influence of tech billionaire Elon Musk. According to our sources, Democratic enthusiasm surged ahead of Republican turnout in Wisconsin, despite the latter being backed by more than $25 million from Musk and affiliated organizations. In the high-profile election for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, the conservative judge who had Trump's endorsement ultimately lost to his liberal opponent. This outcome has significant implications for the balance of power in the state's highest court. I've been speaking with elections analyst J. Miles Coleman from the University of Virginia, who has been tracking these races closely. He notes that these election results are a clear indication of the growing discontent among voters with the Trump administration's policies, particularly on issues like immigration and economic reform. The fact that Democrats were able to mobilize their base and secure victories in these key battleground states is a warning sign for Republicans heading into the next election cycle. As we analyze these results, it's essential to consider the broader context of American politics. The involvement of tech billionaires like Elon Musk in political campaigns raises important questions about the influence of money in politics and the potential for outside interests to shape electoral outcomes. Furthermore, the Trump administration's efforts to reduce the federal government and streamline its operations have sparked heated debates about the role of government in society. Our takeaway from these special elections is that Democrats are gaining momentum, and Republicans would do well to take heed of these warning signs. The fact that voters are pushing back against Trump's policies and embracing more liberal candidates suggests a shift in the national mood. As we move forward, it will be crucial to monitor how both parties respond to these election results and adjust their strategies accordingly. In a conversation with NPR's Steve Inskeep, Coleman highlighted 5 key takeaways from these elections. Firstly, Democratic voters are highly motivated, and their turnout was significantly higher than expected. Secondly, the issue of free speech has become a major concern for many Americans, with some expressing dissatisfaction with the Trump administration's handling of this topic. Thirdly, the federal cuts implemented under Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency have sparked widespread criticism, particularly among those who feel that these measures will disproportionately affect vulnerable populations. Fourthly, the elections in Wisconsin and Florida demonstrate that local issues can have a significant impact on national politics. The outcome of the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, for example, will likely have far-reaching consequences for the state's judicial landscape. Finally, these election results suggest that Democrats are becoming increasingly effective at mobilizing their base and winning key battleground states, a trend that could have major implications for the 2024 presidential election. As we continue to follow this story, we'll be bringing you updates on the reactions from both parties and the potential fallout from these election results. For now, it's clear that the special elections in Wisconsin and Florida have sent a powerful message to Republicans and President Trump. The question is, how will they respond to this wake-up call? Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We've got a fascinating story to wrap up today's show. As the Australian federal election heats up, it seems that social media influencers are playing a significant role in shaping public opinion. Recently, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Greens leader Adam Bandt have been collaborating with popular influencer Abby Chatfield on various posts and podcasts. Now, the Australian Electoral Commission has taken notice of these collaborations and is reviewing whether they should be classified as political content. The Commission wants to determine if these posts are essentially endorsements of a particular party or candidate, which would require authorization under electoral laws. It's essential to note that traditional news media is exempt from these requirements, but the lines can get blurry when it comes to social media influencers. The Commission will be using the dominant purpose test to decide whether Chatfield's posts are more like political opinion or news accounts. Chatfield has maintained that she wasn't paid to post any content and has invited coalition leader Peter Dutton onto her show, but he declined. The Australian Labor Party has confirmed that they compensated some social media influencers for travel and accommodation costs to attend the budget, but claim they didn't direct them on what content to produce. As we navigate this new landscape of influencer politics, it's crucial to consider the implications of electoral laws on free speech and transparency. Should social media influencers be required to disclose their relationships with political parties or candidates? Where do we draw the line between news commentary and paid advertising? These are just some of the questions we'll be keeping an eye on as the election season unfolds. It's a complex issue, and we'll be sure to bring you updates and analysis as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged.